Today, we're going to talk about how to run a business with either a temporary or a chronic medical condition. I have firsthand experience of this. When I started my business, I was suffering from symptoms that were akin to chronic fatigue syndrome, where I was very quite tired, in a lot of pain all the time, and it was hindering or maybe changing the way I ran my business. I started, scaled, and ran my business. And I want to share some of the learnings that I had with you. Disclaimer, I am not a doctor, so this is more from my own experience and sort of from my coaching experience, but it would also apply if you're suffering from a short-term condition. So things like if you're going through menopause for women, andropause for men, or you're suffering from COVID. I unfortunately had COVID a few months ago for the second time, and it was really quite tough for me. Took me almost out of business for 3 weeks. So it reminded me a lot about those learnings that I had before when I started my business with sort of chronic fatigue syndrome. So I wanted to share some of the learnings on how you can still run your business, but take good care of yourself and be able to actually do it efficiently. That was one of my biggest worries when I was ill, especially when I didn't know what was happening to me and how to solve it. Because for that particular condition that I had, the medical profession says that there's no cure, although there are. It's just that it's a little bit less well known than other conditions. Let's just put it that way. I don't want to go into a lot of details about it because I want to make this video very valuable for you. But basically, there was a lot of uncertainty, and whenever you're sick, you're not in the best mindset. You're not in the best place, right? So just like if you're feeling sick, and there's so numerous studies that being sick, your body actually uses all of your resources, even your mental resources, which is very interesting, on actually getting you better. So that's amazing because your body's so smart. But if you're suffering from something like chronic fatigue or even COVID or even a really bad flu or cold, guess what? Your body's not going to worry about, are you in the best state for working right now? Are you being very positive? Is your mindset in the right side? They're not. They're going to be using all of those resources to kill whatever virus or bacteria you have and basically keep you alive, which is an amazing thing. But that's one of the things that I realized. If you're sick, you're more than likely and automatically going to be in a negative mindset state anyway, because all of those resources are being used for something else, and that's okay. But that understanding can be quite powerful. So it's the way you think about yourself when you're getting sick. The other part is around productivity, and I talked about this in another content that I made. But one of the blessings when I was running my business with this condition is that it forced me to be very efficient with my time, because I was basically working probably part-time or less than part-time, and I was still able to run a successful business. But it really helped for me to know when were the best times that I was able to work, and not to push myself beyond the point where I couldn't work. So a lot of self-compassion actually came in through that process. I had to be really good at taking care of myself and basically loving myself enough to make time to take care of myself. So I had to learn to take care of myself, and being sort of an overachiever, an overthinker, an overanalyzer, which is all things that were a gift in awareness as part of my condition, really helped me to take a look at these things and learn how to relax. That's the other big one, learning how to relax. So I thought relaxing was watching YouTube or watching Netflix while playing a game on my phone. I really honestly thought that was relaxing. I thought that relaxing was being on vacation and writing out all my business ideas and working on all the stuff I hadn't been able to work on before while I was working, regularly on my business. So I never really took a vacation. I never took a brain vacation. So even though I've been lucky enough to be in wonderful countries and places, I wasn't mentally there, if that makes sense, because my brain was still in overdrive and overthinking, which was making me really tired. So it really forced me to learn how to rest. And I think a lot of us entrepreneurs don't really know how to rest. And I think a lot of people don't really know how to rest because there's this culture of overwork and always being on and always doing something. So I had to learn what kinds of things were restful for me. So for example, I know reading a book is not restful. So for me, it's either meditating when I just close my eyes and kind of just go off and in go internally and not necessarily doing any work, but actually just being away from sort of this outside reality, going in and just letting my brain have a bit of a rest, even if thoughts are always going. The other way I did it, it was just listening to a very boring, very like non-contentious audiobook or podcast and just lying there and closing my eyes. And sometimes I would put an eye mask on, and so recharging is such an important part of it. It's another lesson that I learned. I need to recharge. My brain cannot be on 24 hours a day. Especially I think after I turned 40, I used to be able to do a lot more of that when I was younger. But I think in my 40s, I started to realize that I actually had limited resources. Like a lot of us realize when we get older. And I'm not saying that has to be everybody, but it's a realization that I had. So, self compassion, being able to rest, learning from adversity. So, what is the gift in this situation? And this is something that I ask people who are going through hard situations anyway. What is the gift? Because one of the things I realized in life is that there's nothing that's completely good and there's nothing that's completely bad. So, there is a blessing in every burden and a burden in every blessing, I've heard it say. And that's absolutely true. And then the growth becomes about taking in the good with the bad. So I had so many blessings with this illness that I suffered from and I recovered from, you know, no less than being able to talk to other people about recovery, that type of thing, but also like all the things that it taught me about myself, and kind of slowing down before it got really bad. So giving yourself a good rest is amazing. Self-compassion is amazing. One of the things that I had to let go of was sort of what other people thought about me in my situation. So most people didn't necessarily know I was, suffering to this level. Some people close to me kind of knew, but in terms of clients and stuff like that, I didn't really quite tell anybody. I was still able to serve them. So don't get me wrong, I have a lot of integrity. So I only took on the clients that I was able to serve to my deepest level. But I kind of stopped putting extra expectations on myself. I think that's how I would describe it. Or what will they think if I look tired in the call? Or what will they think if I don't do the extra thing? It was around those types of things. I really saw how perfectionistic I was, and I had to like actually get rid of a lot of those things. I needed to fill my cup first to be able to fill other people's cups. So if you're suffering from something like that, even if you're just sick and you have a cold and you feel very crappy, please know that you're not alone. It happens. It's a natural process. Be very kind to yourself. Learn how to rest. Learn what rest means for you. And the biggest lesson for me in this particular situation is I really have to put my mask on before I can help put other people's masks on. If I am not in the right place, my clients will not be in the right place. If I'm not in the right place, my family will not be in the right place. So putting that mask on before, great. I wish you a speedy recovery, whatever you're going through, and I'm hoping these tips helped you. And if you want any more information, my contact information will be here around this content, wherever you find it, and I will see you in the next one.